Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a Q&A. So I did a call out in my recent what I wear in a week video and also over on my Instagram, just asking if you had any questions about my pregnancy, the birth, and also post-pregnancy now that we've got our little baby at home. And I've got tons of questions from you all. So thank you very much to anyone who did submit a question. I'm going to try to get through these rather concisely and not waffle on too long because I want to try and answer most of them if I can. And what I'm going to do is split this into 3 sections. So I'm going to start with any pregnancy related questions, then we'll go on to birth related questions, and then post-pregnancy at the end. I will put timestamps on screen in case there's a specific part of the video that you would prefer to skip to. So let's dive into it with the first question. I'm just going to look down at my phone to kind of refer to it. And the first question I got was, did I maintain a workout routine throughout my pregnancy? Many of you probably will know that I'm a runner. I absolutely love it. However, I had to stop around the 16-week mark because I couldn't leave the house without feeling like I needed to go to the bathroom. And it was just to the point where it was very uncomfortable for me to even go for a 5K run. And after talking to my obstetrician, he agreed that the best thing for me to do was to just cut that out. So I needed to find another alternate form of exercise just to keep myself active. I started walking for an hour pretty much every single day initially, and then it did get to every single day towards the end of my pregnancy, and I feel like that really helped to keep me feeling sane, reduce a little bit of anxiety. I couldn't really go out when we had the bushfires, but what I would do is around about 6 a.m. in the morning, if it was a nice day and there wasn't much air pollution or any air pollution, I would go for a walk, and I feel like that really helped me and definitely set me up for the birth. And I also did squats, so I would do around about 50 to 100 squats every other day. I feel like that also helped too. The next question is best minimal and ethical maternity wear brands. Now, I actually really avoided buying much maternity wear. I ended up buying clothing that I'd be able to wear both, or that I would want to wear both pre-pregnancy, but also throughout my pregnancy and afterwards. But Brianna from the Constant Closet over on Instagram, she's currently pregnant and she wears a lot of ethical and sustainable brands. So I'm going to link her Instagram down below because I'm really loving seeing all of her maternity style posts. I just think she has nailed it. But some of the brands she's been wearing are Eileen Fisher, Elizabeth Suzanne, Stork, Barber, which I actually have one of their knits, and a couple of other brands maybe worth looking into would be Christy Dawn and Doan as well. I'm pretty sure that they do have a lot of styles which are appropriate for maternity and nursing. Next question is, what was the most difficult emotional challenge during my pregnancy? I have to say, thinking about this, it's probably the fact that I didn't have my mum here as someone to support me throughout. You may or may not know this, but my mum passed away 5 years ago from cancer, and I've really found it difficult not being able to share that whole experience with her, ask her questions. I was able to talk to my grandmother about it, but it's not really the same, and I do wish I'd been able to, have mum around for that. And I definitely found that that did get me a little bit down throughout the pregnancy journey. The next question is, have we been planning to have kids for a while, and did I always want to be a mum? Now, we actually were trying for about 18 months before I fell pregnant with our son, and I did talk about this in the video where I shared that we were expecting. I had an ectopic pregnancy very early on, and after that I just found it very, very difficult to conceive. In terms of whether we'd been planning it for a while, we had had those discussions and we sort of knew when we were ready, and that was when we got back from our trip to the Maldives. In terms of always wanting to be a mum, when I was a kid I wanted to have 7 children like the Von Trapp family and go around and sing songs. Sound of Music was my favorite film. Then I went through a period of not wanting to have kids, which I think is pretty normal, especially when you're a teenager and in your early 20s. But yeah, like I said, I just don't think I was ready for it at that stage of my life, and when I finally was, that was sort of when we started discussions around when would be the best time for us to start our family. Alright, so birth related questions, and the one that I got asked about a few times was for me to share my birth story. So I'm going to kind of share top line story just so this doesn't go on forever. But basically when I went into labor, the morning that I went into labor I got up at 6, which was usual, and I had a bit of a backache, and I thought that was a bit odd, but I'd been having a lot of aches and pains in the lead up and, you know, cramping and stuff like that. So got up, I did a bit of work, and then around 8 o'clock, that was when I started to experience contractions, which really just felt like period cramps, really. And they were about 7 to 10 minutes apart. By 10 o'clock, they were 5 to 7 minutes apart. Luke and I just hung out. He had actually decided to take leave that week just because we kind of knew the baby was going to be coming soon, and we watched Westworld, and we ended up spending the whole day watching Westworld while I was having contractions, just waiting until it was the right time to go to the hospital. It was quite sweet actually. Winston, our ragdoll, he was sitting on the couch with me curled up into my belly, and I wish I'd taken some good photos of this because it was just so cute. Around 7:30, that was when I had the bloody show, and not everyone has this. Everyone's labour experience is very different, and that was when I said to Luke, I think now we need to go to the hospital. So we kind of got everything all ready in the car and we went to the hospital, and I think it was probably about half an hour before they checked to see how dilated I was, and I think I was 5 or 6 centimeters, so I was able to stay, which was good. And from there it was very, very slow. So I had a very long labor. So if we're talking about from the time that I started experiencing those contractions 7 to 10 minutes apart to when I started pushing, when I was in that final stage of giving birth, that was 23 hours, and I had an hour and a half of pushing. So yeah, it was, I have to say that I'm so grateful for having Luke there throughout it all, because he was just my rock and really, really helped me get through the birth, because I did it drug-free, so I didn't have any kind of pain relief or anything like that. It was all natural. So the great thing was that we basically stuck to everything that was in my birth plan, which was amazing, and that was exactly what I wanted, and I'm so glad that I was able to do that, because not everyone has that opportunity, and just thankfully the conditions were right that we're able to do what we wanted. I was playing piano jazz the entire time, which was really calming and relaxing, and I will leave a link to the actual video that I had playing on loop, which yeah, it's actually just really nice piano jazz. If you love that sort of music, I will link it in the description box. But I think it was maybe around 5-ish a.m. when I was basically fully dilated, and that was when the midwife called the obstetrician to come in. There was another woman who was also his patient who was giving birth around the same time as me in another room, but I think I must have been a little bit behind her. And I remember there's this period, it's called transition, and if you do your prenatal or antenatal classes, you should learn about how there's the different stages, and during transition, that is the time when you're like, I cannot do this. And I remember that so vividly. I remember thinking in my head, I'm going to have a C-section to get this baby out, because I cannot push this baby out. It's just not going to happen. And it was during that time that it was just so valuable having Luke there to really encourage me and tell me that I could do it, and also the midwife as well doing the same thing. I just found I really needed that support during that time. And yeah, like I said, when it came to pushing, it was an hour and a half. I really, really do not think that our son wanted to come out. I think it was very cozy in there. One thing that I found, because I'd been in labour for so long and because I was pushing for so long, my contractions started to get really weak. So what happens if you're pregnant at the moment and you're kind of curious about what it's like when you do give birth, basically the contractions sort of build up, and it's like an intensity, like a pressure that builds up in your body, and you have to push against it. And it would sort of start to build up, and then it would just die off. It would peter off completely. So thankfully though, in the end, like, I was able to get the contractions strong enough to push them out, and then after that we did skin to skin contact immediately, and actually we did that for about 2 hours before they took any measurements or anything like that. Luke cut the cord. We did delayed cord clamping too, which I'm glad we're able to do. I think it was maybe 10 minutes before they cut the cord. So yeah, it was good. We were able to do everything that we wanted, and we're really pleased with that whole experience. So that was kind of, I guess, the short of my birth stories. If you are currently pregnant with your first baby, all I can say is that when you finally get to meet them, it is just the most magical experience and such a special time. And I just remember just having a constant smile on my face, just looking down at our baby. Even his little cries, I couldn't help but smile. So yeah, it's just very, very special. Alright, next question is newborn essentials. What did I pack in my hospital bag versus what I actually use, and what did I wish I packed? What I wish I had packed is tops, because when I got to the hospital and we got into our room, I didn't have any tops. I brought one cardigan which I could button up. I've got no idea what I was thinking, because we were in the hospital for 5 days. We went private, so I'm not sure if that's why we were there longer. But yeah, I had to get Luke to come home and bring some tops in for me. So what I would recommend doing is actually writing a list. Basically, I brought pants that were stretchy. I had my Lego sweatpants, which were amazing. I was able to wear them while I was pregnant, and also they still fit me now, and they are probably one of the best pregnancy essentials that I had. Probably just tops that you can pull down off your shoulder, or that you can pull up really easily for breastfeeding. The thing that I found really fantastic were these Bonds. I'm actually wearing one right now. It's a nursing bra, however it's more like a sports bra, and it's got a racer back. It's really stretchy. I wear it in a size medium. I'm a 10D, if that helps. I actually waited until 2 weeks after my milk had come in properly. I waited until then to actually measure myself up and buy any maternity nursing bras, because I wasn't really sure what size I would be. Aside from that, take snacks. That is also essential. You want to take some pads with you for the 4th trimester. Trust me, that is a whole thing in itself. I would recommend the Poise ones, and especially for initially, they will be a godsend. In terms of the type of knickers that you should take, I would say ones that are really soft and really stretchy, and that you don't mind if you're not able to wear them afterwards. Yeah, definitely a cardigan. I took swaddles, although we had ones at the hospital that we used. They actually had clothes for us to put on him as well, but I did bring clothes. You do need an outfit for when you go home. Our hospital provided nappies and wet wipes, that kind of thing, so maybe check to see whether yours does, or whether you need to take those with you as well. So basically things for baby, and just things that are very comfortable for you to wear while you're there, and obviously any of the things that you are planning on having with you for the birth. So if you want to have a salt lamp, or we had one of those essential oil diffusers, that kind of thing, just make sure you've packed that too. Anything I wish I'd known about labour, delivery and post beforehand. I actually feel like I was really prepared. I'm the type of person who does a lot of research. I really enjoyed our antenatal course. We did she births, and it felt like a really approachable way to learning about the birth. Obviously very focused on natural, but I did find that that was really useful in terms of preparing me for what I could expect, especially I feel like they talked about post-birth as well a little bit, but yeah, I did a lot of my own research online, and that was really helpful. And yeah, I didn't feel like anything came as a surprise. Probably the only thing was that sitting is a bit of an experience in itself after you've given birth. But yeah, aside from that, I've done a lot of reading online, and I highly recommend doing that as well. Obviously take everything with a grain of salt, because everybody's experiences are different. So what one person experiences is probably going to be wildly different for you, but it can be useful just to kind of know what the different scenarios are that are out there. So now for kind of more postpartum questions, and the first one, I'm actually going to combine 2 questions. So I got one that asked, how do I feel about protecting our baby boy's privacy when I share parts of my own life online, and will I share his name? Now, one of the things that Luke and I talked about a lot before we had our son was, I suppose, or what we would share of him online, and we ended up feeling that what was right for us was to let him make the decision when he is old enough. So we felt that that was kind of the best approach, rather than making the decision for him. So I won't be sharing his name, I'm afraid. And I know there's a lot of curiosity out there about these sorts of things, because I do share my own life online, but I really hope that you guys can understand and are able to respect that. One thing that I will share is that for his middle name, we decided to give him the masculine version of my mum's name, which we felt was a really special way for us to include her, given that she's no longer with us. This next question I got asked quite a lot, and it was, how did I lose the baby weight so fast? And I really just want to preface this by saying that it takes 9 months to grow a baby, so it's going to take you at least that long to get back to your pre-baby body, maybe even longer. And honestly, that really shouldn't be your ultimate goal. I really feel like the most important thing is just making sure that you've got a very healthy and happy baby. And I do also want to say, I'm definitely not my pre-pregnancy size. I actually don't even know how much weight I put on throughout my pregnancy. pregnancy because my obstetrician did not weigh me aside from at 12 weeks and 29 weeks. So all I really know is that a lot of my clothing is quite loose and oversized. So fortunately, I'm actually able to fit quite a lot of it. And I will say probably also the other part is, as I've said this before, I think angles as well. But in terms of, you know, my diet, I actually eat pretty healthy for the most part, and I did cut out wheat and sugar in the lead up to giving birth. I stopped eating for 4 months before I gave birth because I had heard from our antenatal class that it would help reduce inflammation. I don't think that helped me at all. Actually, I did all of the things, and I don't think any of the, like, I ate dates every single day, I did all that walking, I drank raspberry leaf tea, I did all those things. I don't think a single one of those things helped me at all throughout the birth. So I just feel like for some people it might work, for me those methods didn't. But I digress. But you know, I was really active in the lead up to the birth as well, which I would say probably helped, but I'd say part of it's probably also genetic as well. I remember my mum telling me when I was younger that after she'd had me, she could go home and she fit all of her pre-pregnancy clothing. So I'm sure that probably had part to do with it. Also, one of the things that I started wearing a few days after I gave birth was one of those elasticated waist trainers, which I found really helpful just to actually make me feel like my insides weren't spilling out, which is a really, you know, all your organs and things move around when you're pregnant, and I found that just made me feel a little bit more pulled in. And I will link the one that I bought in the description box because I just got it from Amazon. It was really affordable, and so I'm not really wearing that much anymore, but I will pop it on every now and then just to kind of, I guess, make my stomach area feel a little bit more secure. My belly button is still stretched out. Maybe what I'll do is I'll pop some pictures on screen of photos that I took when I was, I think it was 4 days after I'd given birth. So I was in the hospital. Please mind the photos as well. They're not, you know, anything staged or anything, they're just mirror selfies. And then I think I took some maybe a week after giving birth and 2 weeks after giving birth. And you'll see my stomach is, you know, it's sticking out, you know, it's not flat. And even now I have found that my rib cage goes in and then I have a bit of a stomach in the front. So I'm just wearing things that are high-waisted, that are fitted around the waist, and my upper body, aside from my chest, is pretty much stayed the same. So yeah, I don't have an answer for that because I haven't been trying to lose weight. I've just been focusing on making sure that I am well fed and nourished so that I have a good and healthy milk supply. I'm eating loads of chocolate as well because it's been Easter. I said to Lou, I went and bought a whole bunch of Easter eggs and I've eaten pretty much all of them. I'm such a fiend. I think because I didn't eat any sugar for that 4 months leading up to giving birth, that now I just want to continuously eat sugar. And like last night we had lasagna. Luke made a 9-layered lasagna with bechamel sauce both in the center and on top, and so yeah, I'm feeling pretty bloating today from that. So I'm letting myself indulge. I'm not worrying too much about it. I figure my body will go back to its pre-pregnancy size when it is ready. I'm not trying to rush it. I do have my 6-week checkup with the obstetrician at the end of this week, so I'll be finding out then whether I'm able to start exercising or not, and whether I have the abdominal separation, which I need to work on. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm really waiting to do. So I haven't been doing any exercise really, aside from the occasional walks, just because, you know, we are trying to stay in the home as much as possible, just with everything that's going on with the pandemic at the moment. The next question is, did, I guess, going through the birth, becoming a parent, change my relationship with my partner? I would say yes, in the extent that I think it just really strengthened our bond, and we are just working as a team. And I've just got so much love for Luke, and like I said during that birth story portion of the video, I'm just so glad that I had him there as my rock, like supporting me throughout the birth. He was just amazing, and yeah, I really couldn't have asked for a better person to share that experience with. Sorry, it's getting me all teary-eyed. So I just had to pull the blinds across because the light was getting a little bit crazy. The next question here is how to balance me time and taking care of a newborn. And I have to say, this is really difficult because babies just demand so much of your attention and your time, and you know, you really do spend your entire day caring for them. It's around the clock. So what I would say is that I make the most of those gaps in between feeds. So when he's napping. If I need to do something or if I need to do something for myself, I'll usually try and do it within that kind of time period. Also tag teaming with Luke as well. He's been amazing at taking baby when I need a bit of a moment for myself, and just been so supportive in that way. But yeah, I would say just making the most of nap time. Also, when I have been taking him out for a walk, that's when I'll listen to an audiobook or something like that, and that's a way for me to kind of just do something that is just for me. Okay, the next question is, how do I cope with a lack of sleep? Oh my gosh, I was saying to Luke's parents this morning that I feel like at the moment he's kind of going through this 2-hourly feeding cycle. So I will feed him for, you know, probably a feeding session is around 40 minutes because he'll take a break in between, and then after that I'll have to change his nappy, I'll burp him, I'll do all of those sorts of things, and then get him down again. And this is in the middle of the night as well, mind you. And then by the time I actually get myself back to sleep, I would say I probably get about a 40-minute block of sleep before he's awake again. So it is really hard. I'd say coffee. Coffee, I've been eating a lot of sugar, which is probably not helping. But I would say probably one of the key things is that in the evening, Luke has been taking him off my hands, getting me to bed early. So around 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm in bed and I start snoozing from then. And he kind of settles him for the night. So that has just been an absolute game changer in terms of making sure that I get a decent amount of sleep, particularly early on in the evening, just so that I can handle all the night feeds. And yeah, that has just been amazing. And then I kind of am up during the night. I'm usually awake by about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and that's when I really start my day. But yeah, it's hard, and I'd say just be kind to yourself and try and take naps where you can, or rest when you can. I'm not very good at this because I like to always be doing something, but definitely try and take advantage of those little breaks throughout the day where you can. So next question is, how did I cope giving birth in such a crazy time? I have to say, timing wise, I think we got very, very lucky because we had our son very early on. And at that time, I remember the second day that we were in hospital, so the second day after he was born, one of the midwives came in and said that it was only parents who were allowed to visit the hospital. So they kind of locked everything down. We actually had Luke's parents come and visit us a week and a half after our son was born. And it was when they were actually in the air that Jacinda Ardern announced that anyone returning to New Zealand would have to go through a 2-week self-isolation. So yeah, that happened. They ended up staying just for a week. Luke's mum was supposed to stay for 2 weeks and she was actually planning to come and visit again. However, just with all of the changes that were happening, she ended up changing her flight to go home earlier, which was a shame. I mean, it would have been great to have her stay a bit longer so she could spend more time with her grandson, because who knows when we're going to get to see any of our family again. We've done a lot of FaceTiming. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting. I think I probably would have spent a lot of time in the home anyway post-birth, just because that's life with a newborn. But it's really, I think, just cemented us being on lockdown in the home, just to make sure that we don't get sick, and that, you know, if we did get sick, we aren't, you know, transmitting that to anyone in the community. Next question, focusing on the transition back into my non-maternity clothes post-baby. So yeah, like I said earlier, a lot of my clothing is quite loose fitting, so most of that would fit me. I've been thinking a lot about what is nursing friendly, so what I can easily throw on and kind of wear. But basically I've just found that putting on some of my normal clothes that I loved pre-pregnancy, and just stuff that I bought while I was pregnant and now afterwards as well, I just found putting on something nice makes me feel really good. It makes me feel really normal. It's nice to be able to wear normal clothes again and have a bit of a waist again. So I have just been putting on things that I love, as long as it's comfortable, really. What do I love most about having a baby? Oh my gosh, I love so many things about having a baby. Like, seeing him smile is just, oh, I think my heart melts like every single time he smiles at us, even if it is just from gas. I love that. It's crazy how when you have a baby, it just feels like everything's fallen into place. It feels like they've always been part of your life. I don't know, it just feels like our family and our unit is just complete. So I love everything about having a baby. What's been the hardest part of having a baby so far? I think the one thing I was not prepared for was just how much you need to hold them, how much of your day is spent just holding a baby. Our son does not like to be put down to go to sleep. He likes to be held in your arms, so I have been wearing him a lot, just using one of those baby sling wrap things, and hopefully we're kind of hoping that getting him into the routine of napping throughout the day, because he's so alert, he just doesn't want to sleep, he continuously fights it, hoping that by doing that it'll encourage him to start going to sleep on his own. But yeah, I think that's probably been the most difficult thing, because I never realized that. I haven't really had much exposure to babies despite a lot of my friends having them. And then the last question that I will answer is, what childcare option will I choose? So we had actually booked him into a childcare. We're going to start from 4 months, but now I don't think we're going to be doing childcare anytime soon. Luke's working from home, I obviously work from home, and yeah, just right now the timing is not right to be sending a child to daycare, I don't believe. So it kind of is unfortunate, because it also at the same time I'm not able to go to mothers groups because those have all been shut down too. So yeah, I'm not really sure what we're going to do, when we'll be able to send him to childcare, but I mean, obviously I would love that, because it's a way for him to socialize with other babies, and I feel like that's really important. So hopefully sometime soon, hopefully this whole thing, the curve flattens and we're able to kind of move forward with our plans. Maybe it'll just be a little bit later than we anticipated. So yeah, that is it from me. This is probably going to be a really long video. Thank you so much if you did send a question. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you and your loved ones are all staying safe, keeping healthy, you know, looking after yourself during this time, both mentally and physically. And yeah, that's it from me today. I will see you guys on Sunday with another video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.